Think back to bedtime when you were a little kid. You're probably hearing a little voice saying something like, "Mommy, Daddy, me no want sleep until me get story." Oh, did you hear that sweet, sweet baby talk? But more importantly, did you hear what that baby wanted? A story. And I tell you, wanting stories isn't just for babies. It's for grown-ups too. So here's Maggie Tomasek with a short story that babies of all ages can enjoy.
Hi, Mrs. Jones. Hi, my name's Maggie. I'm the one who's been talking to all the families in Hanover this summer about those study guides to help your kids with schoolwork. It just takes a quick minute to show you. Do you have a place to sit down? I have recited that script literally about 10,000 times. It is seared in my soul. It haunts my dreams. This is what happens when you devote 2 summers to selling books door to door, 80 hours a week to unsuspecting moms in New Hampshire, Vermont, and upstate New York. Now, at this point, audience, you may be wondering, what? So allow me to explain. As an 18-year-old college freshman, I was recruited for this cuckoo job by a somewhat ditzy gal who the previous summer had been one of the top salespeople in the company. She made $30,000. I was like, if this gal can make 30 grand, I can at least do half that. So one Saturday morning in May of 1999, I packed up my Ford Taurus and caravanned without a cell phone with about 60 other college students to Nashville for sales school. Yeah, sales school. It's a thing. It's a thing for college students who are recruited to work for the Southwestern Company. You go to their headquarters for a week where you learn your sales pitch, get force-fed some inspirational sayings, and become what I like to call part of the book cult. And as part of the book cult, I learned many valuable lessons, none of which were featured in the study guides that I sold. So lesson 1, how to find a place to live. After sales school was over, my 2 roommates and I, we drove to New Hampshire without a place to live. We got to Hanover, which is where Dartmouth College is, and we literally just started knocking on people's doors and asking if we could live with them for the summer. Remember, this was 1999, not like 1959. Eventually, we found a retired couple who was willing to let us live in the second floor of their guest house. The first floor was already occupied by their brother Munir, a hard-of-hearing 91-year-old Syrian man. Great roommate. The second summer, a different set of roommates and I rolled into this town in upstate New York during college graduation weekend, so there were no hotel rooms. So we stayed the night in the rec room of a church, and then the next morning went to mass and begged people to let us stay with him. 4 families offered to put us up for the summer. I still keep in touch with the couple that we lived with, and they still call the place where I slept all summer Maggie's room. Also, once you've asked total strangers if you can live in their basement for 3 months, asking people to buy stuff really isn't that big of a deal. So lesson 2 was how to manipulate moms. Turns out, you guys, moms will do things just because their friends do. People would just let me, a total stranger, into their homes because I had like a legal pad with people's names in the neighborhood. I'd be like, everyone's been picking up these study guides for their kids, like the Smiths and the Johnsons. You know them. I sold books to the PTA president. I would drop her name, and moms would just like pull out their checkbooks left and right. Lesson 3. How to live large. Now, the key to being a high roller is to be a total cheapskate. The more you spend, the less you save. So buying superfluous things like soda or nutritious food meant less money in my pocket at the end of the summer. So I gave it up. My total haul for 2 summers of book selling was more than $25,000. Don't want to sell myself short there. $25,000. So I was able to buy a gently used Chevy Corsica. I didn't have any student loans, and to this day, I still don't drink soda. Lesson 4, how to work hard and play hard. So Monday through Saturday, we were to start knocking on our first door at 8 a.m., keep knocking on doors until 10 p.m., and do 30 sales demonstrations throughout the day, every day. Each no will get you closer to the yes. So by the time Sunday would roll around, we were ready for some fun. All of the book kids spread throughout the region would get together, and we whitewater rafted in New York. We ate lobster on the beach in Maine. We explored Boston, and because I was pretty good at selling books, I also earned incentive trips. The first year, it was a cruise to Key West and Cozumel, Mexico, but the second year, it was a week in Thailand. And lesson 5, how to not give a crap. Now, they teach you in sales school to keep smiling no matter what, through barking dogs and slam doors and jerk dads and snobby moms and bratty kids and the heat and the rain. And then you find through all that forced smiling that eventually you really do stop caring what people think of you. Also, when you rock a turquoise fanny pack for 12 weeks, your ego pretty much just disappears. Now, selling books wasn't all glamour. I spent a solid amount of time crying in my car over the rejection and the homesickness and just self-doubt, but I kept knocking on doors. I just kept going. And really, isn't that the most valuable lesson of all? Thank you.
Maggie, how fantastic. Come join me at the intersection of Hollywood and our Broadway. Thanks for being on Steve Gadlin Star Makers.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Oh, it was a real pleasure. I love to have storytellers because they fill the stage with story.
Indeed, that is true.
So, tell us a little bit about what inspired you to become a storyteller.
Well, I knew that I had some stories to tell, and I've had people tell me, Maggie, you're a good storyteller. So you know what? I decided to take that to the stage.
That's great. And all of us have things that happen to us in life. How do you know when those experiences have brewed up and turned into a story?
Sometimes you just got to write it all down. Sometimes stories that you think would be cool to tell to other people don't end up actually being that great. So you got to write them all down and then see which ones are the best.
So I noticed this one wasn't told off of paper. Have you written this story down?
Yes, I have written the story down, and I memorized it.
Oh, that's another talent we didn't even mention, the talent of memorization. Well, Maggie, we sure appreciated having you on Star Makers, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Steve.